Steven Universe, episode 17, I think, Lion 2, the movie. There will be spoilers in this review, just letting you know ahead of time. Riding the curtails of what was already a great lore episode last time, we get another fantastic episode of Steven Universe now, which kind of breaks the pattern that we'd had so far of odd-numbered episodes being kind of inferior, kind of mimicking the whole Star Trek good movie, bad movie pattern, for those of you who know what I'm talking about. This definitely breaks that pattern, and I think really starts to reflect a period in the show when the episodes were more consistently really good and interesting. This episode starts out, we're not really sure how good it's going to be, but Connie's in it. And I think, is this only the second time we've ever seen Connie? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think this is only the second time we've ever seen Connie. And this is the first time she really is shown interacting at all with the other gem. And you can see they're actually really comfortable around her, except for Pearl, but Pearl's uncomfortable around everybody. They actually seem to get along with her really well, which is really interesting. And she's definitely interested in their magical abilities and in the gems themselves. She's just a little too polite to outright ask about them, I guess. And there's a little more to it later, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Anyway, Connie has come over because she wants to go with Steven to a movie, Dogcopter 3, which we see the trailer at the very beginning of this episode, and it's definitely a parody of Hollywood's habit of releasing action sequels based on books and not actually basing them much on the books, and everything being a sequel and overblown action sequences. And it was pretty great. It was pretty great as far as parodies go. And it was also pretty great that the characters are still genuinely interested in it, just like a lot of moviegoers in the real world, which did such a good job acting as a commentary on that whole mentality than legitimately commenting on it ever could have. Anyway, they're both super excited about this movie, but the theater is actually pretty far away. I guess it's like really deep into the town, which, okay, the town's only like 15 feet wide. I don't see why it's such an issue to walk from one end to the other. But Steven has a brilliant idea that they will ride Lion because he can carry them the entire way, I guess, because I don't think we know about his teleportation powers before this episode. In fact, I guarantee we didn't know about his teleportation powers before this episode. This is a great episode for finding out stuff about Lion. I mean, we find out a lot of other lore stuff, but we learn a lot about Lion here, just specifically. They go find Lion out on the beach, and he's eating this animal. I've mentioned it before. It's some kind of gem animal, like a legit physical creature with a biological body, but it has gemstones in it. And I will be talking about that relatively soon in one of my theories, so don't ask me about it here, please. But Steven just kind of brushes it off. He doesn't tell the other gems about it, because he's pretty convinced that Lion just does his own thing and doesn't mean anybody any harm. That's when they jump on Lion's back, and he carries them not towards the theater, but out into the freaking ocean, and we learn he can walk on water. Then, pretty much immediately after that, we learn that when he roars, he can create portals. And he jumps through a portal, and they end up in this, like, cave with this giant platform in the middle that when Steven steps on it, it comes to life, and it's all pink, and it has this giant handprint in the middle that would be about the size of Rose's hand. And it doesn't take the viewer long to realize that Lion has brought Steven to some site that is connected with Rose. So, like a doofus, he puts his hand on the pedestal, and then he can't remove it. But through some poking and prodding and absolutely adorable tickling, he and Connie figure out how to access all these different, like, underground storage chambers that rise these things up into the center of the room, and we get to see more laser light cannons. We get to see some swords, some weapons, something that looks like a torture device, some armors that I'm pretty sure are the armors that they were talking about in Frybo that they used to animate with the gem shards that were in Frybo. And a giant penny, which I'm pretty sure is a Batman reference, because it looks like a heck of a lot like the giant penny that Batman had in his cave in the animated series. I'm not sure if it ever popped up anywhere else in the Batman lore, but definitely in the animated series. And then finally, Steven, who is upset that they aren't at the movie yet, says that he wants to see explosions, talking about the movie, obviously. And this floating head rises up, and these spikes that look like thorns, which is the first time we really see that the entire circular area is set up like the pattern on Rose's shield, by the way, pop up, and they kind of keep the two kids from moving around very much. And this thing starts flying around, shooting different elemental blasts at them. Now, preempting being asked about this thing, yes, I think I know what it was for. I think it was a training tool. I think that because each gem has some kind of elemental resistance of some kind, or at least seemingly most gems do, this thing was designed to train gems to use their resistances properly and then avoid attacks that their resistances wouldn't protect them from. I think it's that simple. But it blasts at them for a little bit. They can't do anything against it. So they run to Lion. Lion teleports them now to the theater. And this is when you get what I think is the real reason why Connie at this point is hesitant to really interact with the gems a lot and try to learn about their magic. She feels like she's not adequate. She looks at Steven. She sees he clearly has some sort of legacy and or destiny, and she feels like she's not special enough to be around him, and she actually flat out says that. And Steven comes back with just the sweetest thing. They use the analogy of Dogcopter, and he basically says he cares about Dogcopter because he cares about her. It doesn't matter if she has a legacy or a destiny. He still cares about her, and he still wants her to be part of his world. I just thought that was the cutest freaking thing. Feel free to disagree with me, but just understand that if you do, we can't be friends. But anyway, the giant floating head actually tried to follow them through Lion's portal, so now it's kind of jammed in the portal, and it wiggles itself out, and it resumes attacking them, and it seems to have gone into, like, overdrive mode, because it's just blasting like crazy now. And they don't really have anywhere else to run, because this is now a populated area. So Steven asks Lion what he can do, and Lion, just when you think that everything about the lore that we were going to get revealed in this episode has been revealed, Lion bends over, almost like the knave presenting his knight with a weapon, and he produces Rose's shield from his head, and Steven and Connie wield it together to send the blasts from the floating head back at the floating head and destroy it. And then they go to the movie like regular kids. It was pretty freaking cool. And just like so many Steven Universe episodes, this one dangles so many hooks for us to latch onto that will then yank us off to later episodes where they reveal more about the lore and then dangle some more hooks for us to latch back onto again. But also, like so many Steven Universe episodes, it still gives us enough that we come out of the episode satisfied. This is better than any follow-up to the original Lion episode that I ever could have dreamed of. We learned so much here. We still don't know what Lion is. I, of course, have my own thoughts on the subject. We don't really learn any more about Rose as a person, despite the clear connections between her and Lion. But we just get all these little tidbits that, as the show progresses, will fall into place. And of course, this episode does get a direct follow-up, not in the next Lion episode, but in Rose's Scabbard. And guys, I cannot wait to talk about that episode. But of course, we still have quite a ways to go. So, guys, what did you think of this episode? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.